Alright, let's talk about functions in Kotlin. Functions are modules of code that does a specific task. We use functions in Kotlin or in any programming language to break down our code and to allow for reusable code. So in our case, we kind of already seen a function, which is the main function. This is the entryway into our application. And we already know that if we were to put anything within these brackets, the code will be ran when we run the application. But we can also create other functions. And to create a function in Kotlin, we use the keyword fun, and then we have to choose a name. In my case, I want to make a function that will output a prompt to say hello to a user on start of the application. So I will put hello prompt as the name of the function, then use a parentheses, and then open and close brackets. Now, just like with a variable, we could specify a type for a function. So after these parentheses, we could use a colon and then specify the type that we want to be returned. By default in Kotlin, a unit type is returned. Unit means that no value will be returned from this. So just like in Java, there's void, which means that no value will be returned. So if we have a double or string, any of that, we're not returning that. A unit is the same logic. There is no return type. We're not returning a value. But that does not mean we can't print a value. So by default, it is a unit, but we do not have to put it. We can let Kotlin infer that it's a unit. And we'll just put print ln, and then we can put our prompt, which is hello, comma, welcome to my application. So now that we have hello prompt, we have to use it. So we can go into this main function, which is ran when we run the application, and put hello prompt parentheses. This will let Kotlin know that we want to run this function right away. When we press this run button, we should see after this builds, and that might take a little bit, it says hello, welcome to my application. That's pretty cool. And we can do this as many times as we want. And that's what allows for the reusability of a function. We don't have to keep typing out println. Obviously, this is a very basic case, but we can literally have a whole bunch of code, or not a whole bunch. You should try to keep functions as small as possible, but we can have reusable modules or functions, and we can run them just like this. And if I were to run this, whoops, you guys should see the prompt 4 times. Alright, so in Kotlin, we can pass in values into a function to be used in our logic within the function. So let's see that in action. Let's create a function that will double the value that we pass in. So let's call this double the value for the function name. Let's put a parameter that we can pass into the function. So in this case, we'll just call it number value. And we have to make sure that Kotlin knows the type that the person is going to pass into it, or that the person should pass into it. So we're going to make sure that the person is required to pass in an int. And then we want to return an int after we double it. So we're going to make sure that this function has a return type of int. Open and close the brackets, and we are good to go. The little red squiggly that we see is to let you know that we have to use a return to return the integer type. It says a return expression required in a function with a block body. So we let Kotlin know that we're going to return an int, so we have to do that. So we just use the keyword return, use the inputs that the person is going to pass into this function, and the name of that is going to be number value, and then we're going to times that by 2. So we're going to return the number value that the person passed in to this function, and we're going to multiply it by 2 to get double the value. Let's erase 3 of these. So then the next thing I'm going to do is create a variable called double the val, and I'm gonna make this an int, and I'm gonna make that equal to double the value, and I'm gonna pass in my favorite number, which is 7. And actually, let me just make this more specific. Hold 7 twice, and then if I print ln, I just put hold 7 twice, and I should expect to see 14. So let me explain this again. We have a function that we created. It has a parameter of type int called number value, and the person can pass in a number, which we'll take and we'll multiply by 2 to get double that value. We return that value back after the logic is done, and now this is pretty much a 14. This is holding 14 after everything is done. We can assign that value into a variable, which we have called hold 7 twice, and we can print that out, and that's it. That's what we see right here, which is 14. Amazing stuff right there. With functions, you're not just restricted to just one parameter. We could just make another function, and we're going to call this favorite food prompt. We're going to open this up. We're going to take the name of the user, make this a string type, and we're going to take another parameter, which is going to be favorite food. Whoops. Favorite food. And this is also going to be a string. We're going to make this a unit. We can specify it, or you can just like call it inferred that it's going to be a unit, but I'll specify it this time so you guys can see. I'll open up the brackets, and I'll just have a simple println. And I am going to make a prompt that says hello. Let me use a string template here with name. Then put a comma, and your favorite food is, use another string template. Oh, whoops. My favorite food is pizza, but not in this case. Just put favorite food. So it should say hello, your name, and your favorite. Got that. Food is, boom. So in the main function, we could just put favorite food prompt. We can pass in the name, but let me show you a cool thing. You can specify, say for instance, you don't know the order of the parameters. If you know the name of the parameters, you could just use name, put an equal, and pass in the value that you want to use. So in my case, it'll be Giovanni. So that you don't get lost by the parameters, you can specify it exactly. The only problem with this is that if you specify one parameter, if you have multiple parameters, you have to specify all of them. So in this case, I have to specify favorite food as well. So in this case, I use pizza. And boom, you guys can see I have a parameter name, which is name. Here's the first one. I have favorite food, which is favorite food right here, the name of this parameter, and I'm specifying it as pizza. We can even change the order. Because we're specifying it, it doesn't even matter what order this is in. No problems. But, you know, if we were to just put pizza first here and then Giovanni here, this will mess this up because it will just see that, oh, you're passing pizza into name and you're passing Giovanni into favorite food. That's not what we want, but we can make it more specific by passing in the actual name and assigning it a value that we actually want. So let's just run this so we can see. So boom, you see hello Giovanni, your favorite food is pizza, and it's not even in the correct order as you would expect. But if we were to erase this and just pass in how it is right now, you will see hello pizza, your favorite food is Giovanni. Kind of trippy, but you know, now you guys know that there is an alternative if you know the exact name of the parameter. This makes much more sense. Also, if you think that the user is, gonna play with your application and not pass in the value that you expect, or not pass in any value, you could put a default. So I could just put guest here, and you could just put what's something that everybody likes. You can put ice cream. Hope you're not lactose, but you could put a default value just by assigning a value to the parameter. And just in case nobody puts in a value, so let me see. So if we just erase all of this and run it, it'll say, hello guest, your favorite food is ice cream. You don't have a choice. This is the default values. So that's pretty cool stuff. You can either let it be free and let the person decide for themselves, or you can place a default value just in case the user forgets or just doesn't put any values for the prompt or for any function that you intend on using it for. So that is functions in Kotlin. Hope you guys enjoyed.